created maps on his phone, 2 different maps to 2 different people, showing exactly where he was that night, showing the route he took, showing where he went, showing where the dinghy went, and both maps were lies. But here's the thing that changes everything. Federal investigators now have access to his AI search history. They can see exactly when he created those fake maps. They can see what he was searching for. They can see his prompts to Gemini. They can see him in real time using artificial intelligence to construct a false narrative about what happened that night. And there's something else. A neighbor has a security camera. That camera points directly at the house where Brian and Lynette lived. That camera potentially recorded their relationship, their arguments, their behavior, the pattern of what happened before she disappeared. The FBI came to that neighbor's house asking for that footage. I'm going to walk you through what federal investigators have discovered. I'm going to explain the fake maps. I'm going to explain the AI evidence. And I'm going to explain what the neighbor's camera might reveal. Because together, these 3 pieces of evidence paint a picture that's impossible to ignore. My name is Crimitage, and this is what proves he planned this. Let me start by explaining what's happening behind the scenes of this investigation, because most people don't understand how digital forensics work. When the Coast Guard and federal agents seized Brian Hooker's phone and his devices, they didn't just get access to his text messages and his calls. They got access to everything, every app, every search, every interaction he had with technology on that device, including his conversations with artificial intelligence. Now, when most people use their phone, they think about text messages or emails. They think about calls. They think about apps like social media. They think about their photos and their videos. But they don't think about their AI assistant. They don't think about Gemini or ChatGPT or Claude or any of the other AI tools sitting on their phone, waiting for them to ask a question. And they especially don't think about the fact that every single interaction with that AI is recorded. Every prompt, every search, every question they ask, every map they create, every instruction they give. It's all there, it's all documented, it's all time-stamped, and the federal government can see all of it. See, most people think that when they delete something from their phone, it's gone. They think that conversations with AI are private. They think that their searches are hidden. But that's not how technology works anymore. When you use an AI assistant on your phone, you're creating a permanent record. Every word you type, every instruction you give, every request you make, it's stored on servers. It's logged by the company that operates the AI. It can be retrieved by federal investigators with the right warrants. So when Brian Hooker sat down and decided to create maps, when he decided to show the prosecution where he said he was that night, when he decided to construct a false narrative about his movements, he didn't realize something fundamental. He wasn't just creating maps for other people to see. Pause. He was creating a digital trail that proved he was lying, and the team can see every single step of that process. Let me explain what actually happened on April 4th. On the night Lynette disappeared, Brian Hooker's phone collected GPS data automatically. Every device with GPS on it does this. Your phone is constantly pinging satellites. It's constantly recording where you are. It's creating a map of your movements whether you want it to or not. It's happening right now on your phone as you listen to this. Your location is being tracked. Your movements are being recorded, time-stamped, stored. Most people don't realize this until something goes wrong, until someone needs to know where they actually were. So federal agents now have that GPS data for Brian Hooker. They have a precise record of everywhere he went that night. everywhere his phone went, which means everywhere he went. But here's the problem for Brian. He told a story about what happened. He told the prosecution a specific route. He told them approximately what time he left the Abaco Inn. He told them where he was when the dinghy supposedly lost power. He told them where the ocean took him. He told them where he washed up. He told them the time he arrived at the boatyard, and he created maps to support that story. He sent those maps to friends. He sent them to agents. He showed them visually where he had supposedly drifted. He created what looked like evidence that his version of events was correct. The problem is the maps don't match the GPS data, not even close. The GPS data shows him in locations his maps don't show. The GPS data shows him traveling on routes his maps don't describe. The GPS data shows timeline inconsistencies with where he said he was and when he said he was there. It's all contradictory. So what did he do? He created different maps. He used Gemini. He sat down with his phone and he thought about what he needed to do. He typed in prompts. He asked the AI to generate maps showing his route. He asked it to show where he had supposedly drifted. He asked it to create a visual representation of his story. He essentially used artificial intelligence to create false evidence. And those maps, when he sent them to prosecutors and to friends who supported his story, those maps looked official. They looked authoritative. They looked like proof that his version of events was correct. They looked like something you could trust. But they weren't. They were constructed using artificial intelligence. They were created using prompts that he typed in. They were designed to mislead. And most importantly, they contradicted the GPS data that his own phone had recorded automatically without any input from him. Now let me tell you why this matters so much, because this is absolutely critical to understanding what happened. Because this is not an accident. This is not someone whose memory is fuzzy about what happened 2 months ago. This is not someone who doesn't remember exactly where he was because he was in shock, or because the trauma of losing his wife scrambled his brain. This is someone who deliberately sat down and constructed false evidence to send to people investigating his wife's disappearance. Think about what that means. Pause. An accident victim doesn't create maps. An accident victim doesn't sit down with their phone and use artificial intelligence to construct a false narrative about what happened. An accident victim is devastated and traumatized and confused. An accident victim is in shock. An accident victim has lost the ability to think clearly. An accident victim doesn't have the mental capacity or the presence of mind to think about how to fool the people investigating their case. But someone who planned something, someone who knew exactly what happened because they caused it, that person has a very different set of motivations. That person has motive to create false evidence. That person has motive to mislead prosecutors about their location. That person has motive to send them searching in the wrong places while the real location goes undiscovered. That person has motive to construct a story that doesn't match reality. That person uses AI to create maps that support that false story. Because that person needs the investigation to believe a narrative that protects them from prosecution. And Mark Garagos, the famous defense attorney, he explained this perfectly in a recent interview. He said that AI searches are like looking directly into someone's brain. When you use AI, you're having a conversation with the technology. You're typing out your thoughts. You're asking it questions. You're telling it what you want. You're revealing your thought process in real time. It's like eavesdropping on someone's internal monologue. It's like listening to the voice in someone's head while they're trying to figure out how to lie And when federal prosecutors pull up Brian Hooker's Gemini search history, when they see the exact prompts he typed in, when they see him asking the AI to create maps showing specific routes, when they see him trying to construct a false narrative using technology, that's not just evidence. That's a window into his intent. That's proof that he understood what he was doing. That's proof that he was trying to deceive the people investigating his wife's disappearance. And that's called consciousness of guilt. Garagos also explained something else that's important for understanding how this will play in a courtroom. He said that prosecutors can now literally see Brian thinking through how to deceive them. They can see him constructing his false narrative. They can see the prompts he typed in. They can see him asking the AI to create specific routes and specific maps. It's not circumstantial evidence anymore. It's evidence of his actual thought process. It's evidence of his actual intent. But here's what's even more important. Prosecutors didn't just find the fake maps.
We've annotated
They also
the
have
divergence
the real
here.
GPS
The AI
data.
consistently
They have the
misaligns the
precise
coordinates in this
locations
sector,
where
while the
Brian's
raw
phone pinged throughout the entire evening. Every single ping, every location, every timestamp. And when you compare the fake maps he created with the real GPS data his phone collected, the story falls apart completely. Pause. The routes don't match. The locations don't match. The timeline doesn't match. Everything he created using Gemini contradicts what his phone automatically recorded. So the team now has definitive proof that he lied. Not just about small details, but about the entire narrative. About where he went. About what happened. About what he was doing when Lynette disappeared. The GPS data puts him somewhere he said he wasn't. The fake maps put him somewhere he couldn't have been. And the Gemini search history shows him deliberately creating false evidence to try to fool the investigation into searching the wrong areas. That's not an accident investigation. That's a criminal investigation into deliberate deception. Now let me explain what happened when federal agents went back to the Bahamas the second time. The first search was guided by Brian's story. They used his version of events. They searched in the areas he told them to search. They used his maps. They followed his narrative. And they didn't find Lynette. It was devastating. After 2 months of waiting, after 2 months of hoping and praying that they would find her, after the Coast Guard deploying divers and cadaver dogs and remote-operated vehicles and underwater cameras, they came back without her. The family waited by their phones. They watched the news. They held on to hope, but it didn't happen. However, they came back with something else. They came back with the GPS data. And they came back with questions. If Brian's story was true, why does the GPS data contradict him? If he was where he said he was, why does his phone show him somewhere else? If his maps are accurate, why do they show routes that his GPS data contradicts? So the team went back to the Bahamas a second time. And this time, they didn't use Brian's story to guide them. This time, they used the GPS data. They went to the locations his phone actually recorded. They searched where the evidence said to search, not where Brian said to search. And that's when they seized the dinghy. That's when they collected critical evidence from the boat. That's when they started the process of building a case that doesn't depend on finding Lynette's body, because they have something better. They have proof that he lied. They have proof that he deliberately created false evidence using AI. They have proof that his story doesn't match reality. And in a courtroom, that's often more powerful than anything else. But there's something else that's just emerged. Something that could be even more damning. There's a neighbor named Jordan Plentz. Jordan lives on the same street where Brian and Lynette lived before they sailed to the Bahamas. She lived directly across from them. She watched them. She knew them. She knew their relationship. And Jordan knew something that most people didn't know. She knew that their relationship was violent. She knew that it was abusive. She knew that Lynette was trapped in an abusive situation with Brian. She knew that Lynette would leave periodically trying to escape, and then Brian would talk her back into staying. It was a cycle that repeated itself over and over. Jordan watched this cycle. She knew Lynette's mother, Darlene. When Darlene would leave to go to Florida, her house would sit empty for weeks, and Jordan would keep an eye on it. She would watch over it for her neighbor, because that's the kind of community they lived in. That's the kind of person Jordan is. But Jordan knew more than just rumors about their relationship. Jordan has a security camera. That camera is mounted on her garage. That camera points directly at the street. That camera has a wide view of the entire area. That camera can see the hooker's house clearly. That camera can see a good portion of the street. That camera picks up a lot. If there were arguments outside, if there were conversations on the street, if there were confrontations, if there were anything happening between Brian and Lynette in front of the house, that camera potentially captured it. One day, federal agents came to Jordan's house. They knocked on her door. They asked her about that camera. They wanted to know if she could access the footage. They wanted to know how far back the cloud storage goes. They wanted to know if there was video of Brian and Lynette's behavior on that street. Jordan told them she doesn't have the login to the camera, but she's been trying to contact Amazon to figure out how to retrieve the footage because she wants to help. She wants to give that footage to the prosecution if it exists. Because Jordan knows what that camera might show. She knows that on that street, in front of her camera, there could be video evidence of Brian's behavior, of Lynette's fear, of the pattern of abuse that made Lynette so desperate that she purchased a plane ticket home in March, trying to escape. Pause. That camera could show everything. That camera could prove that the relationship was violent. That camera could prove that the relationship was abusive. That camera could prove that the relationship was the kind that ends in tragedy. That camera could prove the pattern that explains why Lynette ended up in the water. And federal agents are trying to get access to it. Think about what that means. Federal investigators don't knock on random people's doors asking for security footage unless they believe that footage is relevant to their investigation. They don't ask about cloud storage unless they think there's something important on that camera. They don't pursue this unless they believe it could be evidence. So, somewhere on that camera, there could be footage that documents Brian's behavior. Footage that shows him in an aggressive state. Footage that shows him threatening Lynette. Footage that shows the dynamic between them. Footage that proves this wasn't an accident. Let me explain what's happening here at the highest level. The Coast Guard Investigative Service is a federal agency. They investigate federal crimes. When they officially labeled this a criminal investigation, they brought federal resources to bear. Resources that Brian Hooker cannot match. They have forensic teams analyzing his boat.
I've got a
Specialists examining every inch of the soulmate,
moving the reflector,
looking
get a
for
shot
evidence.
of this fiber.
They have digital forensic experts analyzing his phone. Specialists pulling data from his devices. Specialists recovering deleted messages. Specialists analyzing every app on his phone. They have AI specialists analyzing his search history. People who understand Gemini. People who understand how AI works. People who can interpret his prompts and explain to a jury what those prompts mean. They have divers searching in the Bahamas multiple times now. using GPS data to guide them to the right locations instead of his lies. They have prosecutors interviewing everyone who knew Lynette, everyone who knew Brian, everyone who knew about their relationship, everyone who can provide evidence about their dynamic. They have federal prosecutors preparing for the possibility of charges, prosecutors with experience in murder cases, prosecutors who know how to present complex digital evidence to a jury. And they have evidence, lots of it, the GPS data that contradicts his story, the fake maps he created using AI, the Gemini search history showing his prompts, the dinghy with forensic evidence, the boat with forensic evidence, the pattern of abuse documented by his family, the history of violence reported by Lynette to her parents and her friends, the fact that he refused to cooperate, the fact that he used a federal lawyer to shut down communication, the fact that he left the Bahamas immediately despite saying he would never leave, the fact that he hasn't been seen in Michigan since he disappeared, the fact that some people suspect he may have left the country, the fact that his own son changed his name to escape association with him, the fact that his former partner hated him with such intensity that she shared it even facing cancer, the neighbor's camera that might show the abuse, all of it is building towards something. Mark Garagos, the famous defense attorney, he explained something that's important for understanding where this is going. He said that if Brian Hooker is charged, he's going to need a very expensive, very skilled defense attorney because the evidence is mounting rapidly. And the AI evidence is going to be crucial because it shows intent, it shows planning, it shows consciousness of guilt, it shows that he knew what he was doing and he tried to hide it. Garagos also explained that this case reminds him of the Scott Peterson case. Peterson was a man whose wife disappeared. He claimed it was an accident. He claimed he was innocent. He said it publicly, but his behavior told a different story. He said he would never leave the Bahamas without his wife. Then he got on a plane. He said he was devastated and broken. Then he went shopping at malls. He said his only focus was finding her. Then he hired a federal lawyer and stopped cooperating completely. That behavior, that pattern, it speaks louder than any alibi ever could. Because consciousness of guilt isn't just about evidence, it's about behavior. It's about the choices someone makes when they know they're in trouble. I want to be very clear about something. Brian Hooker has not been charged with any crime. He has not been convicted of anything. He denies all wrongdoing. His attorneys say he did not harm his wife and that her disappearance was an accident. All individuals are presumed innocent unless formally charged and convicted in a court of law. That's the law. That's the system. What I've described for you is what federal prosecutors appear to have discovered, what the evidence appears to show, what multiple sources have reported about the ongoing federal investigation. This is not proof of guilt. This is not a conviction. This is what the digital forensic evidence points toward. But I will say this. Pause. If the AI evidence is as damaging as it appears to be, if Brian Hooker's Gemini search history actually shows him deliberately creating fake maps, if that history shows his prompts and his intent, then the prosecution has something powerful, because they have a window into his mind. They have proof that he understood what he was doing. They have evidence that he tried to deceive them. And they have the GPS data that proves his deception. That's powerful evidence. That's circumstantial evidence stacked on top of circumstantial evidence, until it becomes something that looks a lot like proof. That's the kind of evidence that gets people convicted even when there's no body. Because the pattern is undeniable. The intent is clear. The consciousness of guilt is overwhelming. And the technology that he used to try to hide his actions is now the technology that's exposing him. And the neighbor's camera, if it contains footage of the abuse, if it documents the violence, if it shows the relationship for what it really is, that's going to be the final piece of the puzzle. Because then prosecutors won't just have digital evidence, they'll have visual evidence. They'll have proof of what their relationship looked like. They'll have documentation of the pattern that led to Lynette's disappearance. If you have any information about April 4th in the Bahamas, about Brian Hooker's movements, about what happened that night, about anything related to this investigation, contact the Royal Bahamas Police Force at 2423224444 or go to tips, fbi.gov and submit an anonymous tip, or download the CGS app and report what you know anonymously. Both investigations are still active. Federal prosecutors are still working, and they appear to be getting very close. The neighbor's camera footage is still being pursued. The digital evidence is still being analyzed. The case is still building. And everyone involved is waiting to see what happens next. Subscribe if you're following this case. I'm going to bring you every update as this investigation unfolds, because this is where federal cases go when the evidence is overwhelming. This is where they go when AI searches become confessions. This is where they go when the defendant tries to hide, but the technology won't let him. This is where they go when neighbors have cameras and federal agents stop asking questions. Thank you for watching.